Ladies and gentlemen, born in September, let me show you an example of your birthstone. This is a cashmere sapphire. They don't even make these anymore. From 1881 to 1887, that's it. This is the quintessential example of what a sapphire looks like. Cornflower blue, velvetly, smooth coloring. So the next time someone asks you what your birthstone is, tell them I am a cashmere sapphire. Discover the value of your story. Increase. So this award lets me know that
bonjour, comment ça va? Et toi? Ça va très bien. Hola, bienvenue, Wan Ying, bienvenidos, bienvenita, benvenuta, and welcome. Welcome to another exciting episode of Gem Hunter Stories. Je suis Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemmological storyteller. And each and every week, I get the magnificent opportunity to take you on an adventure. I take the art, science, history, and magic of gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry, and put them all together into a story. What I've learned over many years and learned each and every week I do this show is that many of the same characteristics, the same traits, the same attributes that we so highly praise in gemstones, you can find those traits and qualities in people. So what I do is I take those gem stories and use them as a template, as an inception point, as a bridge, to help people, to empower people, to remind people all over the world importance of discovering the value of your own stories. So, ladies and gentlemen, bonjour. I am in France, Calais, France. This is my second home, as some of you know, and I am here. And it's just been an absolutely whirlwind experience. I have to calm myself down because I'm so excited. You guys know how I get when I really get excited. Thank you, Barbara. One of the things that I do is I literally teach science and storytelling in different places in the country, not only in the United States, but in Europe. Thank you, Barbara. And one of the things that I came here to do was to play in the regional championships of Pétanque. Pétanque really was invented in this part of the world, in this part of France, southwest France, really a little bit further east in Marseille, but the way I live, southwest region of France, Calais, the city that I live in, Pétanque is basically a religion. So I had an opportunity to play here, and I'll tell you more about that a little later. First of all, today is October 4th, so happy birthday to all of us. And I say us because in 4 days, I will be 63 years old. I know, I look good for somebody that's 363 years old, but thank you very much. So this month, our birthstone is open. So I just wanted to let people know and congratulate all the ones who have made it another rotation around the sun. We did it. We've made it. As my friend Crystal Bodie Smith will say, we made it. And I still got 4 more days. But for those of you who are already 63, happy birthday. This show is going to be a little different because I want you to really begin to understand what studying gemology. You don't have to study gemology, but what this show is about. And as I say in my opening, each week I discover a new concept or a different meaning of something that I thought I already knew on a certain level. And because of something that I've actually experienced, I see how it can expand to mean so much more. So the title of this show is The Exquisite and Breathtaking Experience of Being in Inclusion. And this show is going to be a little deep, but you don't have to take notes. We're going to do a little science, but you don't have to take notes this show. I just want you to really take it all in. Take it all in and see how it relates to you. So, as I said, when you talk about gemology and you talk about gemstones, you begin to see how gemology is actually a microcosm of who we are as people. And I think one of the reasons why gemstones resonate with us is because of that connection, because of so many things that you find in gemology, you can find within people, just human beings. And this week, coming here, experiencing France again, and it's every time I come, it's almost like the first time. It's an absolutely magnificent experience coming here. If you've never come to France, definitely come and prepare yourself to be transformed. Not just Paris. Paris is beautiful. I'm from New York, so Paris is like New York, it's like Chicago, it's like any big city. But when you go outside of Paris, outside this city, outside of seeing the Louvre and things, then you really experience France for what France is. And everything, what I will say is, everything that you've ever heard about this country, the pictures, the movies, music, it's true. It's just like that. And I've been coming here, since 2015, on and off. Someone asked me how many times have I been to France? I don't know, 15 times, 16 times, more than that. I can't even remember. It's so many, it's so frequent. And I'm truly blessed to have this opportunity. So, as you know, the name of my company, the Gem Hunter, Gemmological Appraisals and Storytelling Services, art, science, history, magic. And the reason why I have art, science, history, magic, as I talked about 2 weeks, and I missed you guys since last week, is because when you begin to look at gemology, it's not just one thing. When you look at the the art of it. That's one part of it, and it's absolutely beautiful and breathtaking. When you look at the science and you see how the science works, it takes it to another level. When you study gemology or learn about different gemstones, I mean, the whole history of mankind really revolves around precious gemstones and precious metals. When you're talking about France, you can't talk about France and the French Revolution without talking about the affair of the necklace, the 2,800 carat diamond necklace that Marie Antoinette never actually owned. And we did a whole show about that. But because of it, that was the thing that kicked off the French Revolution. So the whole history of mankind, either directly or indirectly, plays into what gemology is, what gemstones and jewelry and fine jewelry and precious metals are about. And then, of course, the magic. We spoke about the magic is what happens to you. What happens to you as a result of wearing different gemstones, wearing jewelry, the way it makes you feel, the way it transmits who you are as a person, whether you believe it or not. The key thing is it's not so much whether that gemstone actually has that power, it's the point of whether you believe it has that power. So art, science, history, and magic. So today what we're going to talk about is, again, opals. And just a quick review of what opals are, because we talked about it last October. Opal is basically a water stone. It's made out of silicon dioxide, and water. That's it. That's what opal is made out of. You're talking about two of the most ubiquitous elements that on Earth. Oxygen is first, silicon is second. So here's a gemstone that's made out of the thing that is most common on Earth, silicon dioxide. That's it. That's what an opal is. So, and what I want you to do as I'm going through the gemstones, I want to take the time to really get you to see how you fit into that. As I told you, there's 8 billion people on the planet. So what I'm making the comparison of, there's 8 billion people on the planet, one, and then we're talking about two of the most ubiquitous elements on the Earth's crust, silicon and oxygen, silicon dioxide and oxygen and water. So an opal is an amorphous stone, meaning that it's a gemstone, but it's different because it doesn't have a defined shape. It's amorphous. You can pick it up, you can hold it, but the actual chemical structure is amorphous. It doesn't have a defined shape like a diamond or ruby or emerald that you can readily see the structure of and say, okay, that's an opal. And this is opal. Opals come in two varieties. You have precious opals, and then you have common opals. Precious opals, beautiful, still made out of silicon dioxide, but it doesn't have the colors. It doesn't have the play of colors that precious opals. So we'll sit more with precious opals, but the things that I'm saying fits both. So you have precious opals, and then you have common opals. There we go. So here's the basic structure. This is all the science you're gonna get today. So opals are made up of small little silicon dioxide beads put in varieties, different shapes and patterns, and with underlying that structure is a thin layer of water. And what happens is when that light goes into the opal, it literally refracts. It splits the wavelengths of the white light. As we learned before, and you learned in elementary school, all the colors of the rainbow are found in white light. So when you divide white light up, when you refract it, you literally are bending, you're separating each wavelength of light. So that's what an opal does. When you see an opal and you're moving it, it's that play of color, because what's happening is the light is going through those beads, reflecting off of the water, and then that water is helping, the beads are refracting, separating colors, and that's why you have what's called a play of color. This is the structure. So imagine all the, remember the rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Roy G. Bibb. All the colors of the rainbow can be found in those opals because of that refraction. That's all the colors. Don't be afraid. Some of you get, so I get comments every once in a while saying, there's so much science. Don't be afraid of the science. The science is what we use every day. That's part of the magic, really. The science and the magic is that we use it every day, but we just need to understand how it works. And once you understand how it works, then you can apply it to yourself. All right, so let's continue. Now, that structure and the way the light hits that opal determines how it interacts with the light. It determines how it interacts with the light. Now, let's extrapolate that to you. What your structure is, who you are, and the way the light meaning your education, light meaning your parents, light meaning the type of food you're eating, all these things that's the light. That's the light that goes inside of us, and the way what you see, what people see, is how you are interacting with the light. As most of you know, when I was growing up, it was difficult for me. I had a very difficult childhood, and because of that childhood, my personality and who I was for many, many years, decades really, was different. It was different because of what my molecular structure is. Not so much my arm, I had extra arms, eyes, anything else, but my molecular structure, my mind. My mind is where the light interacts, and with that is what you see. So Barry B. Mixon 20 years ago is a completely different person than the Barry B. Mixon you see today. It's because the real power of it is understanding that you have control of how you interact with the light. It's true. All those sayings and affirmations, it is true. Even when you look at something as elemental as a gemstone. And the thing that people don't understand about gemstones is much of what you see in a gemstone is due to its impurities. Let me say that again. Much of what you see in a gemstone, the things that you value or we value in a gemstone, so high. I mean, we talk about, I've had gemstones on this show that was worth $30 million. I'm thinking about the Sunrise Ruby, $30.5 million for a ruby. A ruby, which is basically, remember, here's a test question. What's a ruby made out of? Aluminum oxide. Aluminum oxide by itself is transparent. There's nothing to aluminum oxide. But once you put that hint of chromium in it, that's what gives it the color. That's what makes a ruby a ruby. That's what makes what you see, what you people have literally created countries and fought wars for, is due to the impurities that's inside of that gemstone. Now, before, I don't know how many shows back, but we will constantly go over this again because it's really pretty simple. There are two types of gemstones. There's what's called allochromatic, and I'm looking at the way I'm saying. Okay, allochromatic and idiochromatic. Let's deal with idiochromatic first. Idiochromatic gemstone is when you have a basic structure of the gemstone and the color is built in. The color is built in what it is. So peridot will always be a green gemstone because of the iron. The iron is built into the molecular structure of that gemstone from the beginning. So there will never be an orange peridot or blue peridot or a purple peridot. Peridot will always be green because of the iron that's in the structure of what it is. Then you have, so I make the analogy of someone like Simone Biles. Okay, Simone Biles. I did gymnastics when I was a kid. Some of you may have done gymnastics or rhythmic dancing and things like this as a kid, but you never rose to the abilities that Simone Biles or Michael Jordan or Tony Parker has raven to you. I'm saying Tony Parker because I'm in France, which is a French basketball player. But when you look at, or let's say Mozart or Miles Davis, whatever art form you have, there is something in people like that that's built in. Not saying they didn't have to learn, not saying they didn't have to go through a process. Just like gemstones have to be, peridot still has to be cut and carved and shaped, but the basic structure is already built in. Part of the reason why Michael Phelps is who he is as an Olympic swimmer, one of the great all-time winningest swimmers, the all-time winningest swimmer in the history of swimming, is because of the size of his feet, the size of his hands, his foot and ankle flexion. Those are the things that made him who he is, and that was built in. His mother just threw him in the pool because she was trying to deal with his ADHD, but it just turns out that he found who he is and his what his body, what he was born to do because of that. So that's an idiochromatic type of person. Allochromatic is a whole different thing. An allochromatic gemstone is a gemstone that has a basic structure. And when you have that basic structure, then what you do is you put something in that basic structure. You understand that? So let's go back to rubies or sapphires. Sapphires, September. So that basic structure of aluminum oxide, that's what it is. It's colorless without anything in it. So aluminum oxide, I don't have it here, but in my lab, I have a colorless sapphire. It's not worth anything because there's no color. It's just aluminum oxide. But when you put something in it, that's what determines the color. So an allochromatic person is a person who has a basic structure. We are all human beings, males, females. We are all human beings. You learned that we are mammals. You learned about having hair and two arms and two eyes and two legs. We're blessed to have everything all together. We have a basic structure, and who you are as a person came to you because something or someone put an element inside of you that gave you the color that you are. That's what an allochromatic person is. So I'm in France, and if you want to learn how to cook, as they call it, a chef here in France is called a cooker. Someone who wants to cook on the level that's here would go to school and learn how to do that. My good friend Stefan at Pan d'Issy, who has an organic bakery. Stefan didn't start out being a baker. I think he was into IT, but there was something inside of him that wanted to bake. So he went back to school. He learned how to be in practice, how to be a baker. And now he has an outstanding boulangerie or bakery here in France that serves the 3 and 4-star restaurants. That's who he is. He learned how to do that. Whatever you do, you went to school for. You learned from someone. So you are allochromatic. And this is where it comes together. This is the diamond. This is what's called, you can see all the things in it. These are impurities in this diamond. And those of you who always look at the black spots are basically just carbon that was not properly formed as that diamond was developing. So those impurities they're not really impure. We call them impurities or inclusions, but they're really just remnants of what it took to form those together. To form the diamond, this is just the things that were not finished in the structure. So, of course, we mostly don't want a diamond like that, but it's still no less of a diamond than the Hope diamond. It's just that you can see what it's gone through. The process that it's gone through was different than a diamond that's VVS1 or internally flawless. These are all inclusions. This is nothing. This is quartz. This is quartz with a dolomite has an actual crystal, another element, another crystal with inside the quartz, and those lines are basically rutile, another type of fibrous element that is in that grew up when that gemstone was being developed. This, again, quartz with this quartz has a bit. Quartz is what, silicon oxide, and that color in the bubble is really a petroleum. It's a petroleum inclusion with a little air pocket. Actually, that's water. Actually, a little water bubble that was trapped inside of it as it was developing. And what I want you to do is, as I'm telling you these gemstones, I want you to see the analogy of yourself. This, let's use this. This garnet, I'm sorry, garnet, this quartz grew up in an environment where there was petroleum, there was oil in that environment. So what that, as that quartz were being developed, it embodied some of that petroleum, and that's what you see. That's called an inclusion. It is something that's not supposed to be there. This is emerald with not only a crystal structure in it, but also, again, an air pocket. These are the things that it came up with at the same time. Look at this beautiful, look at this fiber structure. And again, quartz. So what an inclusion is something that's not supposed to be there. You can write that down. An inclusion is something that is a foreign material. It could be something solid, it could be gaseous, it could be liquid, but it's a solid material that happens to be in the environment where that gemstone was being developed. That's what inclusion is. So the question is it really an impurity? Is it really an impurity? We call it an impurity, but is it really that? Should we think so? One of the things that amazes me about gemology is the analogies. The analogies. So think about what I'm saying. This is an inclusion. In fact, the reason why I put this down was because these rocks. This is the earth. It's just the earth. This is a mountainous region up north. I think this was in Canada, up north from the United States, sorry. And here are rocks. And within this, the ubiquitousness of rocks, you have something that is unique to that area. So what we call those are inclusions. Now, in gemology, it's really interesting because when you talk about inclusions, you really talk about it from a negative point of view. You go to a jewelry store, and if you saw some of those black spots in the diamond, all of a sudden that diamond, I don't like that because aesthetically it doesn't look a certain way. Doesn't mean that's not a diamond. It just means that you don't like the way it looks. That's one aspect of what an inclusion is. An inclusion, again, is a foreign object that is internally a part of a gemstone. And then from that inclusion, whatever that inclusion is, increases or decreases the value of that gemstone. That's what inclusion is. But there's a deeper meaning of it. And the deeper meaning of it is where you get into whether it's allochromatic or idiochromatic. Because think about it. Idiochromatic is when the element is built into the structure, no problem. And you get a certain color, a certain manifestation of what it is based on what is internally, the internal structure of it. But allochromatic is, again, you have a basic structure and then something is put in it. Something is put in that basic structure. And it doesn't have to be a lot. You can have let's say emerald, magnesium, beryllium silicate. And then if you put chromium in that, then what do you get? You get an emerald. That same chromium that you put into aluminum oxide to make that ruby is the exact same chromium that you put in magnesium beryllium silicate to make an emerald green. So how does that relate to you? What's the analogy that you can use within your own life? You have to understand that who you are as a person is a matter of inclusions. You didn't grow up, whoever you are today, a nurse, a bus driver, a mechanic, a mom, you didn't grow up like that. Someone or something, your environment, you are an example of the environment that you grew up with. You are a manifestation of the decisions that you made in your life. So one of the things that we do and we have as human beings is we have the decision. We have the opportunity to decide what inclusions that we want in our lives. If you want to go to school, if you want to do something different, then the inclusion that you have to put in is an inclusion that will allow you to interact with the light in a certain way, in a certain direction. You want to fix cars. You didn't grow up. You weren't born with a wrench in your mouth and a set of pliers and understanding how to calibrate an engine. You didn't know that. You had to learn that. That's the inclusion. That's the color. So whatever impurities, whatever inclusions that were in this basic opal, this precious opal, silicon dioxide, again, the most ubiquitous elements on the face of the earth. But yet, whatever the impurities were, made it manifest into these colors. Same thing here. There was something in the environment that allowed this opal, this beautiful opal, to have the colors that it has. It manifests these colors in such a way that that's what you see. And think about it. If that works the same way, this is really where the magic comes in and understanding the science. If that works the way it works with an opal, with any gemstone, but right now we're talking about opal because it's my birthday, it's my birth month. But if you're talking about an opal, and what I'm saying to you is that an opal has a basic structure, and whatever the impurities is makes that opal manifest a certain color, a certain look, a certain presentation. Then why can't that be the same thing for you as a person? It's not about just hocus pocus or just hoping and praying. You have the decision to become whatever type of gemstone that you want to be. Here's an opal that manifests just a beautiful light blue color. And it doesn't mean that it's bad. It's not like, oh well, this has less value than this opal. It's just that this opal was created in such an environment where it manifests that blue color. And you don't even have to get into the science of it. I mean, I can sit here and tell you, well, it's a blue color because of this and blue color. No. What I want you to get from this show, from this episode, is this is who you are. Some of us are light blue. Some of us have something inside of us that make us who we are, whether it be, it doesn't have to be physical characteristics. It could be it could be mental characteristics. It could be spiritual characteristics. It could be things that you do, the way you see the world. I know people who are just very organized. A lot of moms, a lot of women are just extremely organized. They can just see things, or people who understand art or design, or they dress a certain way. Those are the inclusions. Someone taught them how to do that, how to put it together. They decided at some point either consciously or unconsciously, decided on what inclusions that were going to go into the side of them to make them who they are. And that's what you see. That's what manifests. That's what, look at the difference. Look at the difference. There is something, there are things in this opal that when the light hits it, it creates that play of color. Totally different than what we saw previous. This is a different opal than this. So here's another analogy. They're still opals, right? They're still opals. It's not like this is an opal and this is some other kind of thing. No. Why? Because they still have the same basic structure of silicon dioxide. Silicon dioxide. And whatever made it that color, because we did, well, think about it. We didn't change the light. The light is light. The same light that hit that first opal is the same light that's hitting this opal. But how does it manifest? How does it come? What do you see when you see this opal? You see these colors. You still see the orange, but you see more greens, you see more blues, you see more light blues, dark blues, violet colors, gold right here. You see the different colors. So it was those beads, amorphous, put into a certain structure, not a solid structure in the sense of organized like a diamond. Diamonds always have a certain structure. This has a unique structure. And then in that unique structure, it took the light that the same light other opals take, and because of that structure, manifests these colors. That's what it did. Look at the difference. Both oval shape, totally different color. Because of the inclusions, because of what is going on in the inside. And when we come back from the break, I'll tell you really how that whole concept came about and how I saw it on a whole different level because of this trip. So I'll see you on the other side.
Always say that good things come in small packages. Well, that's not always true. Introducing the Millennium Sapphire, the largest cut blue sapphire in the world, 61,500 carats. And that's not even what makes it special. I can already see people
testing. 1, 2, 3, test. Okay, got it.
Discover the value of your story.
So I got the greatest executive producer in the world. Thank you so much. So how does this relate to you? So I realized this week I came here to play petanque. I even had a hat, USA petanque. And what was so amazing about this experience was that one, that I was an American. I am an American. I am an African American, and everyone in the area did not look like me at all. There was only really one person of color here too. Actually, Hugo and Marco. Hugo's mom comes from Madagascar, from Guadeloupe, and Marco, who is the champion of the world and the champion of Pétanque in Madagascar. He wasn't even playing. Hugo was playing, but I realized that how it felt to be an inclusion, how it felt to not only be a foreign subject, a foreign substance, a foreign material in an environment that's not normally have a person like me in this environment. But yet, how did I interact with that? What colors that not only what colors that I produce or was produced inside of me, but what colors did I produce? Because again, when you have an inclusion will dictate or interact with the basic structure, and what you see is a manifestation of that color because of that inclusion. So what happened was when I came here, I got here on the 29th of September, and I started playing on the 30th. And it was scary. It was scary not just because of the game, but just because I knew that I was in. Remember that old book, A Stranger in a Strange Land? That's how I felt because there were literally just tons and tons of people there all playing this game, and I started thinking about Opal, like what play of color is going to come out of that as a result of my being there. What effect, what did I come there with that was going to not only interact with the people around me, with the light that was coming in on that day, but also how were they going to affect me? What colors were going to come as a result of that? So you start thinking about how gemstones is really a microcosm of who we are. All these gemstones, what are we, 6 gemstones, and they each, even though they have the same structure, they have different colors. They have different ways to interact. So when I got here, again, we played Pétanque, and I just want to let you know, and I did a Facebook post about it, but let me just let you know. I played with Terry, and I will show you a picture of Terry. Terry was my partner. And again, Pétanque, here's the ball right here. It's a little more beat up than it was when I first brought it here. Pétanque, again, is a game, it's a ball game, bowls. And you have the 3 bulls, and you have a cochonnet, a target. And just to let you know that Terry's a shooter. Terry is someone who will knock other people's balls into another planet. I'm more of a pointer. A pointer is someone who takes the balls and places it near the cochonnet. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tell you that I did fantastic, and it was a wonderful time. Well, it was a wonderful time, but oh my God, we got beat so bad. We we won the first round. We won the first round, and I was all happy about it. I'm thinking, yes, we got the first round. I'm feeling, an American, and the second round, I don't even know what happened. It's like we never got a shutout. The game is 13, so it was never 13-0. But the people that were there, and everybody was there. I'm talking about people from at least 10, 12 different villages, towns around. They were all there to play. And what was so amazing was just how good everybody was. It was like everybody was a professional. I felt like I was in either the NBA, the NHL, or the Major League Baseball, NBL, and it was MLB, sorry, Major League Baseball. And everybody was Michael Jordan. Everybody was LeBron. Everybody was Kobe Bryant. Everybody there was a professional but me. Well, Terry was good, but I wasn't, not at that level. And it was so amazing because I kept thinking to myself, how, if I was an opal, what colors would come out as a result of me being there?
How do I interact with the people around me? And even though we got beat like somebody stole something. It's, in France, they don't have it like in the United States where you have the different rounds and then you get eliminated. At least not in Patton. You just keep playing. And it was just like butt whooping after butt whooping after butt whooping after butt whooping. And I tell you this because this is what a story is. You know how some people will get on. I don't like people who say, I want to win and we're going to win and we're going to be the champion. And then when they don't win, you don't hear anything. No, I think you should speak just as loudly when you win as when you lose. So I want to let you guys, the people who know me and know that I'm a competitor, I got beat. Oh my God. Custer didn't get beat this bad. Napoleon didn't get beat this bad at Waterloo. I think if Napoleon would hear, he'd be like, I can't even talk to you anymore. And what I will say to you is it was the most magnificent feeling that I've ever had one of the most magnificent feelings I've ever had in my life. Because what I saw was just different opals. I saw different types of opals, all the manifestations of colors. I saw people using the same thing, having the same molecular structure. Everybody there was a human being. Everyone there played with a ball, just like this. The balls are not really that big in size. It's either you go from either 680 grams to 800 grams. That's the maximum. Mine is what, 710. Most people are in the low 720s, 700s, things of this. Men, women, children were playing this game. And all you saw is different manifestations of the way this game can be played. And what I got out of it, not just only as someone playing Patton, but what I got out of it as a human being was magnificent. There was a gentleman there, I don't know his name, I had never seen him before, but as I was walking around, recovering from getting beat round after round, he came up to me and just looked at me, an old man. This man was, I'm 63 this week. I want to keep saying next week. If somebody corrected me today, no, you're going to be 63 this week. So I'll be 63 this week. He had to be at least 75, if not older. And he looked at me, and I was just walking around, and all of a sudden, he just appeared in front of me. And he looked me straight in my eye, held out his hand, and he said, Bonjour, Monsieur Barry. And that's when I really saw it. That's when I saw what an inclusion can be, what it means to be included, what it means to be surrounded by something that's completely, or people completely different than you. Your upbringing, the way you see the world, and the power that you can get from that. How it can empower you to just see the world in a completely different way. I was the only black person in the whole joint. Let me just put it real simple. And even though these people are from a different continent, a different city, a different country, a different culture, I was included. I was included in there, and together we became something beautiful. We played Patton for 8 hours. 8 hours from 9:15 to, I don't know, 6, 7. We really probably longer than that because we played. This is where I messed up. We played. They drank. We drank. They said, "Oh, Barry, have a beer." I was like, "Okay," and I had a beer. Then they was like, "Okay, you ready to play again?" I'm like, "Wait, we gonna play again?" And we played again. And what I felt was just the camaraderie. I felt the brotherhood. I felt just human beings coming together towards a common goal, a common game that we was all in together. And that's what gemstones are. Gemstones are the manifestations or the example, the quintessential example of what happens when elements come together. What happens when chemicals come together in such a unique way that it creates something beautiful. Just like I don't know what elements, what impurities is in this stone. Look at the difference between this stone, this opal, and this opal. I don't know what impurities made that opal look the way it does. All I see is how whatever those impurities are, whatever inclusions are in this opal, this is how it manifests. This is what you see. This is what you buy and you wear, and you feel that energy as a result of the synergy between all those things coming together to create something beautiful. And the whole purpose of this show is to show how you can do that in your own life. That's why this show is not just about the gemstones itself. There's tons of shows out there like that where you're talking about, well, opal is this is an amorphous and hydrogenous gemstone. That's nice. But how does it relate to you? Why do gemstones persist? The belief, the stories of gemstones persist, not for just decades or years or decades, for a millennium. For a millennium. Why are the stories that I'm telling you about opals and diamonds or rubies and emeralds or sapphires, why are these stories, these gem stories, still persisting hundreds of years later? And it's because of the stories. Because of the analogies that we can make, because we on some level understand that black line, whatever that black line is in the middle, the way it lined up, the way it came about in that environment shows it's a part. It made that gemstone even more beautiful. It made it totally different than this. Why? And that's the power that we have. That's the beauty. I'm going to be this week, or next week, I'm going to have an opportunity to build a house with someone who I consider a brother now, Francois. And I talked about Francois, but I have a chance. He wants me. And Francois is just a very big, very Frenchman. And yet, because of the things that he had gone through, the inclusions that was inside of him, his father was like my mom. And yet, we found the similarities in our inclusions. Our mothers, his father, my mother was the thing that was inside of us, the pain that we went through. And in that pain, he became who he became. I became who I've become. And although there's 8 billion people on the planet, we found each other. We found each other. I was at his house last night, and it was like, even though I haven't known him for that long actual time, but because of the similarities of who we are, we bonded. And he gave me the honor of asking me to help him build his house, build a section of his house. And I'm not a carpenter. I mean, I've seen it on TV. I didn't take a lot of shop classes in school. And there's a part of me that's like, oh my God, I hope I can do this without losing any fingers. But I'm trusting him to know where I'm at. And I'm trusting myself to be able to respect what I can bring to the gemstone of us doing this together to create something beautiful. And that's what inclusions are. We live in this world where if you're different, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too fat, you're too black, you're too white, you're too something. We live in this world where being different is seen as a bad thing, which is really strange because this opal, this beautiful black opal, is different because of the inclusions. Even though it's the same, look at it. Here's 1, 2, 3. Same structure. Every last one of those opals are silicon dioxide, the most ubiquitous element on the planet. And yet, there's something inside of this opal that made it what it is today. And that's what I want you to get out of this show today. What is it about you? Let me give you your homework assignment right now. What is it about you that's different? What is it about you that is so different, is so unique that you can go to another culture, another office, another school, another wherever, another environment, and not only respect the environment that you're in, but also understand what you bring to the environment. What is you, the inclusion to who you are, the person that you became as a result of positive and negative things. How do you interact with the light? What do you get out of it? And it's wonderful to live in this world where color is a problem, and we have racism, we have misogyny, we have all these different things going on. And what I'm here to tell you is that we have the choice to change that. It doesn't have to be. I have people tell me all the time, come to me and say, "Oh, I hear French people are snooty or French people are rude." No, they're not. There are some people who are just like New Yorkers are supposedly rude and everything else, and sometimes we are. But I didn't experience that. What I experienced is human beings, the structure of human beings. Each one of those people there, the 100 people that were there, each one of them had different chemical elements. We all had the same chemical elements, the same structure, but there was something about each and every one of them that was beautiful. And not only was I able to see their beauty, they were able to see my beauty. So, what is it that's beautiful about you? What is it that you can go with someone and say, "Bonjour, madame," or "Bonjour, monsieur," and place your name? Because then when you see that, then you will understand the exquisite and breathtaking beauty of being in inclusion. So I hope you enjoyed today. I will give a salute to you. And next week we will be continuing on with our discussion of the Infinity Stones. I think we're going to talk about the I can't remember. I don't even want to say it, but we're going to continue with my boy Charlie Jones. We're going to do that next week. And until next week, enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy who you are. Enjoy what makes you different, because yes, you are strange. Yes, you are different. Yes, you are neat. And yes, you are an inclusion. And because of the inclusions that you have inside of you, it allows you to interact with the light. So until next week, I will say to you, my name is I am Monsieur Barry Mixon. Je suis Gemmological Storyteller. And I wish you to take time to think about, to sit down, write down, and discover the value of your own stories. So until next week, au revoir, à te tella, voilà.
Hey, Gem Hunter family, let me show you something really special. This is the Star of Adam, the world's largest star sapphire, 1,404 carats. It's called the Star of Adam because in the Muslim religion, Adam lived in Sri Lanka in a place called Adam's Peak right after he left the Garden of Eden. Discover the value. Your story.